The key issue for the social approach has always got to be a question, don't forget. So the question that we're going to tackle is, why do people participate in genocide? It's really important that you're able to define and use accurately the words listed on the screen now. Now, they are all key terms that we've addressed when we were studying the social approach, and they all need to make an appearance in your essay answer. Now, you need to be able to understand and define the term genocide. You need to be able to apply knowledge of agency theory and social identity theory in order to be able to explain genocide, and you also need to be able to evaluate the usefulness of these when explaining the key issue. So firstly, what is genocide? Well, genocide is defined as a systematic effort to wipe out a group of people. And it seems incredible that somebody would make the decision to devote their time, energy and resources to purging another group of human beings from the planet, but it has happened time and time again throughout history. You looked at more modern examples of this during the lesson. The example that we're looking at specifically here is the Holocaust, which has inspired a lot of psychological research so far concerning both obedience and prejudice. Now, you need to try and use your knowledge of psychology to explain what happened in the Holocaust and why it happened in the Holocaust. So my advice is listed on the screen down the right hand side. So if we were to look at social identity theory, I would suggest who was the in-group and out-group and how that will have affected how they viewed each other. So for example, Nazis saw themselves as an in-group and therefore viewed Jews as an out-group, and that created a prejudice between the two groups. Now, social identity theory suggests that just the presence of the two groups would have caused the prejudice. I would then go on to discuss the 3 stages of social identity theory and apply this to the Nazis and to their behaviour. So social categorisation, social identification and social comparison. Talking about the fact that they referred to the Jews as vermin, for example, and that's an example of social comparison. They had to feel that they were superior, that they were better. This raises their self-esteem, and that's why they would call the Jews the names and victimise them the way they did. I would describe the prejudiced feelings about the Jews and the discriminatory behaviour of the Nazis. I would then go on to obedience. So I would then start looking at agency theory to explain the behaviour of the Nazis. Could they have been in an agentic state when they obeyed orders? How would this work? How does moral strain come into play here? And then eventually you could determine whether there was competition between the groups. This obviously is realistic conflict theory. Were the Nazis and the Jews fighting over limited resources? And if they are, what's your argument for that? The 4 concepts that we specifically looked at in lesson, which you can revise to help you with these, are obedience and agency theory, charisma, in-group favouritism, and unauthoritarianism personality. What's really, really important when you're addressing the key issue, now this isn't just for social, this is for any, is that it will always be split into 2 sections. A describe, and this is the bit where I want you to think, what would the news reporter say? If this was on the news, what would the news reporter say? So in terms of looking at genocide, this would be explaining what genocide is, that 6 million Jews died between 1939 and 1944. You might talk about concentration camps. You would talk about the segregation, how Jews were moved into ghettos, how they were made to use to wear the yellow Star of David, because all of this will eventually link in when you are asked to explain, which is using psychological research. So you would then go back and you would explain about in-group, out-group, segregation of the Jews, how they were categorised as wearing the yellow star, how the Nazis called them names, and that was the comparison, etc., etc. But anything you describe is just what your key issue is about. What is it that you're talking about? And obviously you should start with the question that you're asking. Explain is then when you use the psychological research to explain it. I want you to be prepared as well for the possibility of a 12-mark describe and explain question, where obviously it'll be split 6 and 6, so 6 for describe, 6 for explain. It's really important that you're able to define and use accurately the words listed on the screen now. Now, they are all key terms that we've addressed when we were studying the social approach, and they all need to make an appearance in your essay answer.